They are hanging everywhere. I want you to look at all the peas. Hello everybody, welcome back to Burnt Church. We're in the old pea patch. I think we're gonna have enough peas to can. So I'm gonna bring you along with me here. I'll show you a little bit of the process probably of canning these. This probably ain't gonna be a real long video unless I get long-winded. If I get long-winded, it might be an hour long. But we've had a lot of rain. It probably rained 2 inches in probably an hour yesterday. I got some tomato plants out before the rain started. I probably planted 50 tomato plants. I got about half of them planted, and it come that rain. But I thank God I got those planted. When it dries up, we'll get the rest of them. So we'll get these peas picked, and I'll see you in here inside. We'll shell them and get them ready to can. Well, we got rained out of the pea patch. We got quite a few picked. Well, about half of one row is what we got, really. So we like 2.5 more rows. The sun's coming out here now, so I don't believe it's going to last very long. I'm going to start shelling some of these, and when it quits raining, I'm going to go back out there and finish picking them. There's quite a few of them ready. We picked them this past Thursday evening and had enough for supper for 3 nights, I think it was. I put a picture on there on the community board of some of them, and they were real good. I like to pick them really before they get completely mature. Once they get mature, they'll start getting a little bit tougher, and to me they're not as sweet. So I like to pick them pretty young. You can see here they're filled out pretty good, but they're not just real big and real firm. This one right here, he'll be a little bit bigger pea. Now he's still good, but to me just not as sweet. I'll show you the difference that they look like here. You can see these two here are pretty big ones, and there's a smaller one. If I can find some that's completely mature in here, I'll show you what they look like. They get looking a little different color actually. I'm going to try to take some of these down to Mom and Daddy and give them a mess of them. They like these peas. We've probably got some young potatoes. That is some good eating green peas and those little young potatoes. And some cornbread. I'll start getting hungry and it ain't hardly time to eat lunch yet. These are shelling pretty good. I have had some that's just hard to... Now like this one here, he's starting to get mature. The color of the pod is starting to turn a lot lighter green. And I don't like to leave them that long. Unless you're going to use them for seed. If you're going to use them for seed, I'd leave them on there till they dry up. But I'm not worried about getting seeds right now. Once I get all I want off of them to eat, I'll probably start letting them go to seed then. I think I've said it before, but this is the Lincoln variety pea. Most of them have anywhere between 8 and 9 peas inside the pod. This one here's got 2, 4, 6, 8 good full ones in it. On these peas, I like to pick them, get them shelled, and get them canned or cooked, either one, as quick as I can. It seems like that grabs the flavor of them better than it does picking them and leaving them in the refrigerator for several hours and then doing it. Sometimes you have to do it that way, but if it's to where I can, the sawmill's tore up right now and we're not sawing, so I have time to do this. I'm going to shell them, and if I have enough, I'm going to can them, and if I don't have enough, I'm probably going to freeze them until time to can them. It just seems like the faster you can get it from the vine to the jar, the sweeter flavor they have in them. Well, we finally made it to the kitchen. It's been a rough day. I would pick a few peas and it would start coming flood, so I'd come in and start shelling them. I'd go back out after it quit and pick a few more. But we finally got them picked and we got them shelled. And I'm going to show you how I can them. Now, this is not a tutorial. You do your own research. Don't just go by what I show you, because this is just how I do it. I wouldn't advise anybody else to do it that way without doing the research first. So what I got here is I've got my jars hot and I've got some hot water. And I've got my lids and bands over here. I need to move them. I've got my lids and bands here in some pretty warm water. It's not just real hot, but it's pretty warm. And the way we do it is I'll get us a jar. Now I use my hands, and they're clean because I've scalded them over here in this water washing off these peas. I don't know where what we use is a half a teaspoon of salt. Now, I couldn't find a half a teaspoon, so I'm using the full teaspoon. I'm just using half of it. I always put the salt in the bottom, and then you just add your peas. Now, I don't try to pack them in, and you're looking for we leave about an inch head space. Somewhere thereabouts. That's real close. I don't know how many of these will make. I'm hoping it'll make 9. That's what our canner holds. I've got hot water here. So now we'll add our hot water to it, and it'll be the same thing on it. I'll leave about an inch head space. We lost our debubbler, so we bought a Ozark Trail spoon to use for debubbling. I always just run it around the sides and then down through the middle. I've got a paper towel here with apple cider vinegar on it. I didn't have any white vinegar out here. I normally use white vinegar, but I think this apple cider vinegar will be okay. I'm not gonna try to get any of it in the jar. These lids, I just try to center them up and put it on finger tight. Then I'll set this one into the pot and do the same thing on the rest of them. It goes pretty fast once you get to this point. It's getting everything to this point, it's the hard part, especially when you have so much rain. We had flood warnings yesterday. I don't know how much it rained. I believe it probably rained a couple inches there in just an hour or so. It was some of the hardest rain I think I may have ever seen. It was coming down. This method here is called the raw pack. If you got a big family, you might need a quart-sized jar. But for 2 or 3 people, the pint works fine for us. Most of the time it's just me and my wife eating them. Sometimes we'll have company, our grandson or our kids or something will be here, but most of the time it's just me and her. And a pint of them, we usually can get 2 meals. So once we get this done, we've got to put them in the canner for 40 minutes at 10 pounds. Well, I'll finish this up, and I'll see you here in just a minute. We'll see if these will seal up. Well, I've got them all in the canner here now. We're going to put the lid on it. Close it down. And once steam starts coming out the vent here, I'll let it steam for a few minutes and then I'll set the weight on it. We gotta let it get up to 10 pounds and that's when we'll start our timer, is when it gets at 10 pounds. We'll leave it in there for 40 minutes and cut it off. It didn't make as many as I thought it would. I had just a few left. It made 7 pints is what it's made. I actually thought it would make 9, but it made 7. We're just about at 10 pounds. I think we're there now. So now we got a time for 40 minutes and it'll be ready to shut off. Well, they finally finished and I've let it cool off. This pressure canner here has got this little old deal right here. I don't know what you call that. I don't know if every pressure canner has it, but when the pressure is gone from the canner here, this here will drop down. That lets you know there's no pressure left on it. I really like that about this canner. But here's what we come up with. We got 7 pints. And it looks like they all have sealed. Yeah, that one's sealed. I'll let these set a few more hours and then I'll take these bands off. Now I don't store them with these on there. If you leave these on there, it'll hold moisture in it and it seems to cause them to rust. What I'll do before we put these in the cabinet is I'll wipe them off real good. Make sure they're dry before we store them. They all done good. Didn't any of them try to crease or anything. I have had it before in the past. I think probably trying to pack them too full. Either that or I didn't leave enough head space. And they would build up pressure in the jar and crease the lid. What I normally do if they do that is I'll just take some of the peas out and then I'll recant them. And they usually work like that. But these are real good to have around the house. You can come in and throw some potatoes on to boil and open a jar of these and you almost got a meal there, just potatoes and peas. You add a little cornbread and you do have a meal. I've been talking about cornbread a lot here lately. I must be craving some of it. But anyway, I hope everybody stays safe out there. I thank you for watching. I pray God blesses you, and I'll see you in the next one. I started cleaning my dishes up I had here in the sink. I want you to look what was waiting down here under it. And I don't like spiders.